How long does it take to buy a house? That is what we're talking about today, so let's dive in. How long does it take to buy a house? If you haven't bought a house before, or if it's been a while, you are probably wondering, how long does it take before you get the keys? What is the home buying process timeline? Well, that is what we're talking about today. Hi, I'm Daphne Bousquet with Fayette and Peachtree City Homes and Lifestyles for Berkshire Hathaway Home Services Georgia Properties. And welcome back to my YouTube channel. This is where we talk Fayette County, Georgia, from Peachtree City, Tyrone, Brooks, Fayetteville, and everything in between. The golf cart paths, the fun things to do, the homes, the lifestyles, and of course, tips for buyers and sellers. So let's get on with this buyer tip on how long it actually takes to buy a house. Buying a house is such an exciting time, and I understand that when you make that decision to buy a house, you want to move in as fast as possible. But how long does that take? So let's start with the beginning, and that is to get pre-approved for a house. It is so important to get pre-approved for a couple of reasons. The first one is that you do not want to fall in love with a house that you cannot afford. You need to know your budget and exactly what a lender will give you. And the second one is, in a competitive situation where we're in right now, is that you risk losing out on the house of your dreams if you're not pre-approved. When there are multiple offers and you are not pre-approved, you are not getting that house. So pre-approval is where you start, and that doesn't take long. Just make sure that you have your bank statements, your W-2s, get your credit card statements all together, and apply for that loan. Most of that goes online, then you'll talk to a lender, and it takes a couple days at most. So that is not a long process at all. So you are pre-approved. It is time to go shopping for a house. Now that can take a day if you already know what you want, a week, a month, and sometimes it takes a year if you have very specific requirements, and houses like that don't come on the market very often. It happens, but usually, it takes a few weeks, a month, maybe a couple of months. It really depends what your requirements are. Well, congratulations, you are under contract, you found the home of your dreams. So now, how long does it take for you to get the keys? All right, so we'll start at the beginning, because the day of the binding contract is pretty much day zero. You have anywhere from 48 hours to get your earnest money in. That is part of the contract. That is your skin in the game, as so to speak. And you want to get that in as soon as possible, but usually it's within 48 hours, what the contract states. And as soon as you have that binding contract, you send that over to your lender so they can start their process of getting the house approved and underwritten immediately. You also have to order an inspection, and this is all during the due diligence period, or also called the inspection period, because this is when you make sure that there's nothing really wrong with the house. During the due diligence period, you really can pull out for any reason, but it is really to find out if there's anything major wrong with the house. Now, inspection, the inspector will find issues, but it's really for the major safety issues. I mean, is the HVAC system working? Are there any problems with the foundation? If there's only minor issues, No big deal. And this is when you ask for anything major to be repaired by the sellers. Meanwhile, the closing attorney is pulling title, make sure that everything's fine with that and that the property has clear title. And the mortgage company, your lender, will order an appraisal to make sure that the property is actually worth what they're lending for, you the money for. If all goes according to plan, and yes, even when there are some minor hiccups sometimes, that entire process of underwriting the mortgage should be done in about 28 days or less. And that is when the lender will issue you your TRID or closing disclosures so that you can get clear to close. By law, you have to have TRID 3 days before you can close. And if any material changes have to be made, that clock starts ticking all over again. All in all, from the time the clock starts ticking and you sign that contract to the time you get the keys when you close, it takes about 30 to 31 days. Congratulations, you are now a homeowner. If you like this video, you'll love this one right here that will give you tips on how to get your offer accepted. Be sure to subscribe to this channel so that you don't miss any of my videos. They come out every week. So see you next Monday.